What's going on, YouTube? Thank you for coming back to another episode of Scattered Brilliancy. Today I'm here to review episode 5 of season 2 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. I missed episode 4. No, this must be episode 6. I missed episode 5, excuse me, doing a review for that one. It was a lot going on last week, and by the time I had time to do the review, I was just like, bump it, I ain't gonna do it. And I watched the episode, but clearly I didn't miss anything. Like, it wasn't really important because I think last week was more of a filler episode. So, as always, this is just a recap of all the Ratchet events that took place. So, excuse me. The episode started off with Princess. She was packing her stuff in Ray J's house. She's pretty much decided that she no longer wants to move forward with her relationship with him. During the last episode, she went down to Miami for his photo shoot, for his video shoot with Lil Wayne, and she confronted him about some things and threw water on him. And she has now decided in this episode that they don't want to be together. But I saw a video from it must be the BET Hip Hop Awards red carpet, and there was something about her and Ray J are now engaged. Because she said something about she left her ring, and she didn't say that they weren't engaged, but she said she left her ring. So I don't know. Moving on, next up we met up with Hazel. She's in her new house in the Hollywood Hills. She's talking about how her career is on fire now. She's there with Tierra, and she's pretty much updating Tierra on everything that's happened. More so just about the confrontation she had with Jason Lee 2 episodes ago, where he threw the Ciroc and pineapple in her face. And Tierra is updating her about the Vegas invite that she's got from Princess, and how she told Ray J, and she's happy to kind of mess up his mind, since that's what they did to her, last season and all that kind of stuff. And so now she feels like, hey, I got her back, without even really realizing she played right into Princess's hands. Next, we meet up with Brandy and Nikki. They're working out. Brandy updates Nikki about her marriage. She says that they've been doing a lot of arguing and fighting like cats and dogs, as if they haven't apparently already been doing that. So she says right now she's just focusing on her friends. Nikki updates her about Fizz and the fact that they're dating or whatever. Nikki brings up Jason Lee, tells Brandy about the confrontation, how Jason Lee acted, and Brandy's just like, that's not cool. It's not cool for a man to throw a drink in a woman's face, and I totally 100% agree. But Nikki lets her know that she invited Jason to her function that she's having. It's for some kind of nail something, some beauty something. I don't know. And so Brandy is like, I'm definitely going to come, because she's like, nobody is going to come for my friends. End of story. That's what she says. So I'm going to do my reviews a little bit different. I'm going to kind of stick with characters and then move that way. So we get to the actual event that Nikki invited Jason to, and he brings Kamaya with him. Kamaya comes into the situation as kind of level-headed, saying that she wants to just talk to Nikki about what happened, the confrontation that took place between them two. She's not really coming on any kind of drama tip, but she just wants to have a woman-to-woman conversation with her. So that's kind of her intention for coming to the party. Jason comes in, he extends his hand to Brandy to introduce himself, but Brandy's kind of like, and he's like, oh, it's like that. And she's like, yes, it is. So Brandy expresses her distaste for the behavior that Nikki told her about, and Jason's pretty much like, you weren't even there. And so they kind of go back and forth, and then Jason tells Nikki that he doesn't need to address her Chihuahua. And Brandy gets mad. He calls her Chihuahua. But I gotta say, she does kind of remind you of a Chihuahua. Like real little, but a lot of mouth, And I know about Chihuahuas. We have one. She's kind of like a Chihuahua. If I had to compare it to a dog, that's the dog it would be. So Brandy just casually gets a bottle of the little pint water. She picks it up and she throws it on him. Like, you threw pineapple and Ciroc, I'm throwing water on you. And Kamaya is kind of trying to be the peacemaker, trying to tell them, y'all, this is real childish. And then somehow or another, Kamaya and Nikki get into it, and they go back and forth. Now pretty much it's like all four of them are arguing with each other. Jason and Kamaya decide to leave the function, and Nikki and Brandy follow them outside, and they're still yelling and everything. And Jason's pretty much like, I'm going to kill you in my blog. Like, I'm going to write some bad stuff about you and all of that other kind of stuff. And that's pretty much all that happens with them. So then we move on to, no, I'm gonna come to Miles last. We're gonna do Miles last. Willie. Willie and Shonda. Um, Mind you, I didn't say this in the other video, but I loved Day 26's first album. Day 26's first album, solid R&B. Solid album. So Willie is talking about how things are not really great with his current record label situation. I think right now he's kind of on the independent route, but he is in some kind of contractual obligation type situation. Um, he's talking to one of his former, I don't remember if it was his former manager or what, but it's Screwface is the guy's name, and I think he's a producer. He's talking to him about his situation, how they moved out from Chicago to LA, and right now they're just living off the money that he has saved up, and he's getting concerned because he's recorded all these songs, but the record label that he's on has put him on ice. And Screwface is pretty much telling him, there's really nothing I can do for you right now until you get out of your contract with that record label. I would love to help you. I would love to work with you, and I'm pretty sure you have some good music, but I can't touch you. I can't do anything for you until you get out of that situation. So, that's just kind of putting a bug in Willie's ear, like, man, here on this side, it's almost like the one in the hand is worth more than two in the bush. Willie has a record label. He has songs written. He has some people who believe in him, but he has another person over here who's seemingly wanting to do more for him. So that's becoming more appealing just because this side is stalling. But he runs the risk of, if he does get out of his record label with the company that he's with right now, and he goes over to the Screwface side, that could not work out either, and then you're kind of left with nothing at all. So I hope he really thinks it all through before he makes any decisions on what he's actually going to do as far as that is concerned. Later in the episode, Willie and Shonda is his wife, they're dropping off their kids, and last episode they had a kind of going back and forth about bills, and Willie's whole thing with Shonda is just making sure that she knows that everything is going to be taken care of, and his main thing is he does not want her to get back on the pole. Shonda used to be an exotic dancer, and he's all for her getting a regular job, but he is not for her putting back on that outfit and being a stripper again. He will do whatever he has to make sure that his family is taken care of, but he does not want her to go back to doing that. Shonda kind of feels like I think Shonda kind of feels like she's ready to go back to dancing. They talk about getting a regular job, but they're not regular people, and they don't make regular money. So, and I wrote in my notes that I was really appreciative of this storyline just because out of all the foolery that goes on this show, I can appreciate this storyline just because it seems the most honest and it seems the most real. I know a lot of this stuff is fabricated and it's scripted and it's not authentic, but I really feel like out of all the storylines this season, theirs is one of, if not the most authentic on the show, because I think they're going through things that are universal. And while Miles and Milan are kind of going through the universal things as well, Miles and Milan's feels very forced, whereas Shonda's and Willie's does not. Later in the episode, Willie does get a chance to meet up with Harry, who is, I think, one of the guys who's owner of the record label that he's on or whatever. And he's just pretty much trying to explain to him the situation that he's in, having his whole family out in LA and not really seeing the record label doing as much as they were doing. I guess at one point it seemed like the record label was really doing a lot for him, but now kind of everything is on pause, and he's just trying to get a timeline idea to find out, when are we going to move, when are things going to move forward. And Harry is kind of like, I need to talk to my partner about some things and discuss things. We really like your project, but right now, we just kind of need to take our time. And Willie kind of comes out from left field like, what about releasing me? And Harry doesn't seem too pleased about that. He's very shocked that Willie has brought that up. But Harry's whole thing is we just need to discuss the things and see what our options are. Yeah, and that's pretty much all that happens with Willie and Shonda in this episode. Nia, Princess, April, and Shonda, they meet up at a pool. And this is pretty much Princess's opportunity to just tell all the other girls kind of what's been going on with her and Tiara. A few episodes back, Princess was with April when Princess sent the text to Tiara about the Vegas trip to kind of see if it's a trap or whatever. So now she's just kind of updating her to let her know, yeah, that was a trap, and Tiara did go back and snitch to Ray J about the Vegas trip. And so April's kind of like, wow, I really didn't think she would do that. But Princess is, letting them know that she's done with Ray J. And after she came back from Miami, she decided that she wanted to just move out and, just be on her own. Nia chimes in saying that she's kind of in the same boat. She's going through the same kind of man problems with Soldier Boy, and kind of wondering if the single life is where she needs to be headed as well. Um, April asks Princess what she's going to do about Tiara, and Princess tells her that she's invited her to a day party, and that is where she plans on confronting her. And she's hoping that that's where they're going to be able to have that conversation. So we get to the day party. Everybody is there. All the females of the cast are there except Amber. So you got Princess, Tiara, April, Shonda, and Moniece. So Princess just pretty much comes out and asks Tiara, have you been in contact with Ray? And Tiara's like, yes, I sent him a text about the Vegas thing. And Princess you can tell that Princess is hurt by all of this. Tiara's thing is, you can't expect me to be, rah rah for you when, y'all did all this kind of stuff to me back in the day. But Princess, I think, really deep down in her heart thought that what they were building was genuine. And she really didn't have any malice behind reaching out to Tiara, whereas Tiara definitely had malice behind the things that she's been doing to Princess. So, I mean, I get both sides, but I definitely, if I had to side with anyone, I would side with Princess, just because she was really kind of just lost, not really knowing what to do, and felt like she needed to reach out to the one person who she knew would be able to help her, and that one person kind of took a dump on her. So, I mean, yeah, that's how that kind of works. So, of course, they start going back and forth, and I just started typing like some of the stuff that they said. So, they're yelling back and forth at each other. Princess was saying, you need to let Ray J claim you. Princess tells her she's an effed up person. Somebody tells somebody they've been sucking penis, and then they fight. And in the midst of them fighting, right after they, throw a couple of hits, they get pulled apart. And then Moniece throws her drink on Princess and splashes Shonda in the process. And Shonda's kind of like, whoa, chick, that was uncalled for. Because if you remember a few episodes back, Moniece really doesn't care for Princess. Moniece is definitely Team Tiara, and she doesn't like how things went down between Ray J and Tiara and Princess, so she sides with Tiara. So pretty much, she's riding and dying for her. Go to break, come back. Princess, throughout this whole time, is really just trying to have this conversation. She's really just trying to have this conversation with Tiara to find out why she did it. And Tiara's whole reason for why she did it is, y'all did what y'all did to me, so now this is me getting y'all back. Despite the fact that it seems like Princess tries to get the answers to this question on multiple occasions, she still gets the same answer from Tiara. Tiara has told her plenty of times why she's done it. It doesn't make sense to Princess, but Tiara's let you know why she did it. Y'all did what y'all did to me, so I'm doing it back to you. And I felt like, she felt like that's what she needed to do. So Princess calls Tiara fat, and then Tiara throws a drink. April talks about how she's just trying to be neutral, but she's tired of being in the drama and trying to, be the mediator. Princess comes back and tries to get the answers again. It's nighttime by this time, so it's kind of like y'all literally been at this day party all day. Because when they started, the sun was up, and now Princess is still trying to get answers, and the sun is down. Princess starts crying, so you can really tell that she's, genuinely hurt. Then Princess launches at Tiara, gets a couple licks in, doesn't really, gets pulled apart, and then Princess tells Tiara and Moniece that she gonna get up in that tail. So I'm assuming at some point or another later in this episode, Princess is gonna try to fight both Moniece and Tiara. And now for the main storyline throughout this particular episode, and that is the love triangle between Miles, Milan, and Amber. So, earlier in the episode, Miles is seen filming his new low-budget video called West Coast. And I may be tripping. I didn't rewind, but I could have sworn I heard him say something about popping that coochie in the lyrics. I might be wrong. Y'all let me know if I was wrong. But I could have sworn he said something about popping the P word. So after they call cut on the video, Miles walks off in a very dramatic way, and he goes to pick up the phone so he can call Milan, because he hasn't talked to Milan since Milan threw his tail out the house, at the apartment. And, it's just so ironic that both of them have a camera crew on them at the exact same time. Milan is at a beach somewhere, and they're holding paper. It looked like somebody was trying to be artistic. It was 4 gentlemen standing on the beach, and they're holding paper like this. Hold on. They're standing on the beach, look like this. I don't get it. I'm an artist, but I don't get it. Like, they had a red, a blue, a yellow, and a green. I don't. What's the paper? I mean, I don't know. And the camera just happens to pan down to Milan's phone and see that Miles is calling, and he hits ignore. Oh, so dramatic. So, Milan is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Miles has finally decided that he needs to set things straight with Amber. He knows that Amber really wants that relationship with him, but he now knows he really needs to just come clean and tell her, what the deal is. So he decides that they need to go to couples therapy. Now, my opinion in all of this, I believe that there's some steps that Miles has missed. Before you go to therapy, there's one thing he could do which will fix all of this, and that's just be honest. If you're gay, you're gay. Live your life, but don't lie about it. All of his lying has now not necessarily caught up to him, but he's now having to deal with all of the lies that he's told. Really, as it stands at that point in time, Milan and Miles are the only two people who know the full situation. And Milan really don't even know the full situation of what's going on between Miles and Amber, because I truly believe that Miles and Amber were still sleeping together. So Miles is lying to everybody in a sense. And if he was just honest and been a man and just stood up and just, said how things really were, there wouldn't be no need for him to go to couples therapy with somebody who he's not even in a relationship with. That's the thing I don't understand. How you going to couples therapy and y'all not even a couple? Anyway, so where is it at? I'm lost in my notes. Okay, so then we have a dramatic scene. Miles goes to the church house. And this is the first time in this whole season when I believe we've seen Miles without a hat on. Anybody else notice that? He always has a hat on. And I was wondering, maybe he has a really far back hairline. Maybe that's why. But no, he just has like a little texturizer thing going on. But I'm like, why he always got a hat on? But that was weird to see him without a hat. That's when I realized we ain't never seen his real hair before. But anyway, he's in the church, and I think it's just like a voiceover type thing. So he's deciding that he needs to tell Amber. Okay. Cut to Amber. Amber is meeting with her sister Angel, and I really don't mean any harm by this, but they got some real strong. They got some real strong masculine genes. Like, they real masculine in the face. Real masculine. Both of them. Very masculine. Anyway. Amber's sister is pretty much like, we're appreciative of everything that Miles has done, when it pertains to Amber's daughter Zoe, whose father is dead, but Miles has kind of stepped up into that role and been a father figure in her life. So, she's like, the family is appreciative for what he's done, but you need to open your eyes and be honest. And, if he's not willing to commit and be in the relationship that you want him to be in, you need to just leave it alone. She tells her, don't be stupid, don't be dumb, you need to open your eyes or bounce. And Amber's pretty much like, yeah, you're right. But Amber feels like there's some kind of sliver of hope because Miles has set up this whole couples therapy thing, and she feels like that's Miles' way of saying that he wants to work the relationship out, when in reality that's just Miles' way of telling you that he don't want your coochie no more. That's really all that really is. And in the final scene of the episode, Miles is with the therapist, and he's just pretty much giving the therapist his backstory, everything that's led up to this point. He tells her that he's had feelings for men since he was young, but Milan is the first guy that he's actually acted those feelings out with. She pretty much lets him know that he's been living a double life, and he knows, even though he knows Amber is ready to move forward, he knows that she tells him that the therapist tells Miles that she asked him, has he really thought about what Amber is going to have to deal with after he tells her this? And that is where Miles breaks down. I'm not going to say that his breakdown was inauthentic, but it felt inauthentic. He started doing the cry talk. I just don't know what I got to tell her, and it's going to be hard for me. Like, that's how he was talking. He had 2 tears that came out, Awesome. Good coaching. And In the dramatic finale of this episode, Amber pulls up in an SUV, and the episode ends with the doorbell ringing. And that's episode 6? Yeah, that's episode 6 of season 2 of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be seeing y'all maybe sometime soon. I thought it was interesting, side note, that VH1 showed a preview of a show that they're having come on after Love and Hip Hop next week called, I think, Out in Hip Hop, something about gay people in hip hop. And I think that's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm definitely going to watch that. Don't know if I'm going to review it, but I think it'll be an interesting conversation. But I really don't feel like anybody should be surprised that a gay rapper is not really accepted, is not going to be accepted. And I don't feel like a gay rapper ever will be accepted by the mainstream public, just because I look at it like this. I don't listen to rap. But I would be willing to bet that most men who listen to rap because it's something like a fantasy. You know, they don't have a lot of money, but to hear about guys talking about the money that they have, the cars they buy, the houses they buy, how they turn up, that's like, you want to hear that kind of stuff. People, I think, listen to music that they can relate to. I don't really feel like anybody's going to be down for that one time when you buy that gay rapper CD and you hear, I stuck him in the butt last night. Like, you're not going to really be ready for that. You know, you're used to hearing men talk about the girls that they had, the beautiful women. And even if a gay rapper's flow is sick and he has bars, like he has skills, you're not going to be able to listen to a whole album, because eventually you would expect that a gay rapper will want to talk about his love. You know, rappers talk about who they sleep with, what they do sexually. You're not going to really want to hear about two men doing it if that's not the kind of stuff that you support, if that's not the kind of stuff you're used to hearing, if that's not the kind of stuff that you want to hear. So I don't think that it should be shocking that gay rappers aren't really accepted. That's just like a gay male singer is not really accepted. Yeah, we have Sam Smith, but Sam Smith really doesn't say anything gender-wise in his songs that have been on the radio. You know, they're very neutral, and they can go kind of either way. So I don't think anybody should be surprised that gay rappers and singers aren't accepted, and I don't feel like they ever will be. I personally don't want to hear that on the radio. I don't even want to hear the heterosexual rap on the radio. So if I don't even want to listen to heterosexual rap, I definitely don't want to listen to the homosexual rap. I don't listen to rap, period, because I can't relate. Okay, that's it for my tangent on gay rappers and singers. I'm about to go ahead and get in the shower so I can get ready for work in the morning. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you come back, post the video, and tell somebody, and I will be seeing you guys later.